Hello, everybody, and welcome back to SiriusXM Channel 142 HBCU, home of Bel Air Radio. I'm your host, Marie, and today I am joined by
Brooklyn, your co-host as of this evening.
So I'm very excited, Brooklyn. I hear that today is not only the final episode of our academic year, but also a class project for JMS 299, a class that you took. Would you like to tell me about that?
Yes, absolutely. That class was called Mastering the Mic. And if you listen to radio, specifically KJLH 102.3 and based in Los Angeles, you will know that Tammi Mac is the host of it. So she also was the professor for that class as well. And we got to learn a lot of great things on hosting, on interviewing, on listening. And just we really took away some key factors in that area.
Well, that's impressive. You have quite the celebrity as your professor. Here we have another student who has taken the class. Biani, do you have anything you'd like to add on the subject?
Yes, so I really took a lot away from her class, understanding myself to become a better interviewer.
So then what is the number one interviewing tip that you took away from the class?
Ask the scary question.
That is a great piece of advice. Mm-hmm. Honestly, I think that the questions that you are the most scared to ask often yield the most interesting answers. And the worst thing that someone can tell you is no. You have to respect when they say no, because boundaries are boundaries. But the worst thing that can happen is they say, no, I don't want to answer that. And you can ask them a different question and keep on with the interview. But if you don't ask those risky questions, you won't get those rewarding answers.
Yeah, and speaking of risk, I feel like the class overall was pretty risky. The teacher, she wasn't like Tammy, she wasn't like normal teachers. So I felt like she approached it differently when it comes to, you know, telling her students what to learn about and things like that. But yeah.
You want to add on to that?
I can, yeah. Okay,
yeah,
I didn't
Elaborate.
Yeah, for sure. So I feel like she really just pushed us to the max. Do you feel like that, Biani?
Yes.
Yeah, I feel like, you know, when it came to asking questions, she really kind of like broke.
She broke the barriers.
Yeah, she broke the barriers for sure.
Because when she asked this question, she had this concept of being in the boardroom. And she asked us, what does the broken part of us need to hear? And I wasn't able to answer that question.
Yeah, she asked a lot of tough questions. But I feel like, what do I feel like? I don't know. I feel like it was very, like, you could learn a lot about yourself during that time.
I felt a lot of emotions just because I didn't know the answers, and being in the class and everyone else had an answer to like what the broken part of them needed to hear. I felt like why didn't I know the answer to what the broken part of me needed to hear? And so I needed at least 2 days to reflect on it and meditate on it to see what came up. And eventually we had a one-to-one and the truth came out. And I could feel the difference. And that's what she was trying to teach us, like to know the difference between when you're speaking from your head versus your heart during interviews, because there's a connectivity and a resonance that happens when you're able to connect to the person you're interviewing and get really in-depth information.
Yeah, and I feel like that really put us in a position to say, you know, this is what you see on TV. You see them pushing past a barrier to get information that nobody else knows. So I feel like that's what makes a host a good host.
Well, in the spirit of that, how about we ask one of our audience members for a volunteer for the two of you to show your new interviewing skills? Can we get anybody? Would anybody like to be interviewed on Bel Air Radio?
All right, we got SGA President Shelby.
SGA President Shelby, woo!
Let's do it.
Coming up.
All right, so Shelby, the way this is going to work is our two students here are going to use these skills they have learned in mastering the mic to interview you, and afterwards you are going to give your opinion, because as SGA President, I'm sure you've been interviewed before. You're going to give your opinion on how you think the interview went, okay?
Okay.
All right, so the two of you go on ahead.
All right. So just jumping into it, Shelby, where are you from?
I am from Bellefontaine, Ohio, so it's a small rural town about 45 minutes north of Columbus, which is the capital, if you know anything about Ohio. No?
Yeah.
No?
So
Oh, okay.
what brought you to Bennett? Do you have a Bennett story?
Yes. So I actually took about, well, I am a transfer student, so I'll start with saying that. But I went to a PWI in Ohio in Columbus, and when my scholarship ran out, I had to drop out. So I took about 2 years off working like little jobs here and there. And then eventually I filled out an application on the Black Common app and I came to Bennett because they sent me an email. So I was just like, hey, I'll go with it. So yeah.
What feelings came up for you when you had to drop out? What was going through your head?
I was a little, well, obviously I was disappointed. It was very devastating because I really wanted to graduate with an undergraduate degree. I think sometimes when you look at people around you and you kind of see some of the accomplishments that they're making, you start to hold certain things not to the highest standard that they are. So I feel like graduating with the undergraduate degree, like that's a big accomplishment. But where I was from, a lot of people did that. So I just kind of assumed it was going to be the same thing for me, like straight through 4 years, like no problem. So when I had to drop out, I had no idea what I was going to do because I didn't see that coming whatsoever. I thought like everyone just went to college, like, and did your 4-year bid, I guess you could say. And
All right. Was it really just only a financial aspect that set you back, or were there anything else?
Yeah, it was just financial for me. So when I had went, I actually was applying for mostly HBCUs, and I only applied to the PWI that I went to because my parents wanted me to stay in state. And so when I applied and got in, they actually gave me a scholarship that was going to cover my tuition. So like obviously I went because it was going to be free, and I thought it was like my scholarships were renewable, but they weren't. And so I found out they weren't renewable my second year, and I went into it. It was about $5,000 a semester, and I didn't have any money, and I wasn't working a job because I didn't have a car to get me off campus. I didn't have work study or anything like that. So when that $5,000 bill came and I had no way to pay for it, they were like, you can't come back. So
Yeah. Well, that's terrible, but now you're here
yeah.
at Bennett. Can you share some takeaways? Like, have you had any good moments, any bad moments? Like, what's the tea?
Good moments or bad moments, like here at Bennett?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think every situation, there's ups and downs to everything. A lot of good moments here, a lot of opportunities for growth here at Bennett, which I'm really thankful for. When I came to Bennett and transferred in, I had 3 goals. I wanted an internship, scholarships to cover my tuition, and I wanted a job after, and I actually have all 3 lined up. So I think that's a big accomplishment to me.
Yeah, that's definitely an upgrade from the PWI. So.
Yeah. And like at my old school, everyone that I came in with, they've all graduated now, but none of them ever had any internships. None of them have jobs in their fields, like none of that. So I feel like Bennett really is special in the aspect of the opportunities that it provides for our students. I know a lot of us are like even required to have internships to even be able to graduate.
Yeah.
So here you really do leave with real experience that you can apply to a job after graduation.
And so it sounds like you had to take some type of leap of faith. Like, just go out and do a thing and come to Bennett not knowing what to expect.
Yeah.
And I relate to that, doing stuff and not knowing what to expect.
Yeah.
What advice would you have to give to someone who's taking a leap of faith and they don't know where the journey is going to take them?
I would say you never know if you don't try. Like, you really never know how good things can get if you never jump off the porch. There's this song by Chica, it's called Crown, and in it she has this part where she says, well, I hope I can say this on the radio, but she was like, if I never jump, then I die here. And she's talking about how she has like a lot of like dreams and things that she wants to accomplish, but like had people like telling her that it wasn't going to work out, and like really to stay where she's at. And even though she doesn't want to do that. So when she said, if I never jump, then I die here, it's like, if I don't jump off the porch, like I don't know, like I'm going to be in this same spot at the end of the day regardless. So I would say, like, even if it doesn't work out, you literally never know if it's going to work out until you try, until you take that leap of faith. And for me, it was a big leap of faith because when I took my 2 years off, I had an apartment, like I was paying bills, like had jobs, like I was really like grown-ish, quote unquote, like if that's a thing. So when I came, I went from having an apartment by myself, you know, like I'm chilling. Well, the apartment wasn't by myself, but I was like chilling. I wasn't living with my parents anymore. And then I have a roommate, and like, I'm like, oh, like, I don't know if this is for me, you know, I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's really worked out. So yeah, I would say jump off the porch.
Yeah, most definitely. I feel like we all have had that moment. And failure is just part of life, you know?
Yeah, it
but
is.
it's really just important to fail forward and
Yes.
always learn and take away something
Yeah.
from when you fail.
Yeah, that's good.
So, yeah. But, you know, the world is very competitive, especially, you know, going out into corporate, such as, yeah. But, so do you feel like at Bennett it was competitive compared to the PWI when it comes to terms of internships and?
In regards to internships, no one at Bennett applied for the internship that I applied for. So I'm not sure if I can really speak to that aspect. But what I will say is in my department, there's a lot of like girls that are like, you know, they're about their business. So I'm not sure. I feel like another good thing about Bennett is, you know, we are all women's HBCU. It's really more supportive than anything.
I agree.
You know, when I had an internship, I'm telling my classmates, and they're excited for me. Like it's never like competitive. If you ask me, or like whatever Biani's doing, I'm happy for her. Or Quintea, like she had a couple of internships at Cisco. Like we applaud each other. So I wouldn't say it's competitive.
Okay.
More supportive.
Yeah, that's really always nice to find, especially, you know, at a school, because if you're not from here, you're going into a new environment. So supportiveness is really just great.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask, what do you think makes this environment so supportive in contrast to other colleges where the energy is more competitive? Is it the sisterhood? Is it because it's a HBCU, or is it the people here that makes it feel like I don't need to compete? I'm gonna support my sister. Where do you think that energy comes from when at Bennett College as the SGA president? Okay.
That's a really good question, Biani. And I say that to give me a little second to think about it. But I think I would say that support does come a little bit from the fact that we are an HBCU, all women's. So we share, even though we're all very different, and I would never want to generalize all of us together because we're so like this is also one of the most diverse experiences I've had.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah, being at this HBCU. But what I will say is we do have certain things in common, and this isn't to X you out, Marie, but like we're all Black women, so we have certain experiences in the way that we navigate life. And then even to include Marie, she is a woman, you know?
Yeah.
So there's just certain ways that we would go about situations that that a man necessarily wouldn't understand. And I can even apply that directly to my business classes, where I've had where we've had talks about our internship and our experiences, and a lot of those deal with the fact that we're Black women and some of the struggles that we dealt with in our internship. So,
Yeah, most definitely. Okay, and last, just to ask, was there a moment or a time that you can tell us where you felt seen for the first time?
That's a good question. Honestly, I would say when I won SGA president. I feel like that was like very like, oh wow, like people see what I'm doing, like they like believe in me to an extent. So
Yeah, coming as a transfer student.
yeah,
That's very
especially
unlikely. The odds
yeah.
are.
Yeah, because I
Yeah.
mean, I had just met a lot of you guys a couple months prior, and to be able to like really put in the work and earn your vote to lead the school, I felt like, wow, like, hey, these people have a lot of faith in me. Maybe I should believe in myself. I don't know, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that we're going to end with a message of that. Believe in yourself.
Yes.
So,
Thank you very much, Shelby.
Thank you.
And thank you for volunteering. I
Yes,
believe
thank you.
that our celebrity guest has arrived, Miss Tammi Mac. Everybody
Yes,
give
so
her a
welcome
round of
Tammi Mac to
applause.
the stage.
And we kindly welcome you to the stage, or the mic at this time. Those shorts are adorable.
So good to see you.
For those listening, she is wearing the cutest multicolored shorts I have ever seen.
Yes, and the yellow shoes are to die for. Yes,
Oh, those are gorgeous.
we love those.
Thank you.
Okay, if you could just
I
put
was like,
the
y'all
headset.
got on headphones?
Yeah, we're doing the full.
Wow, what am I listening to?
We're listening
Just
to
your-
each other talk.
Oh, I hear y'all.
Yeah,
But it's also to make sure that you can hear yourself properly, because the mics are very, very directional.
Oh, well, let me speak into it.
Yes.
There we
Yes.
go. Okay.
All right. So I am not a part of this class. I'm only here to facilitate discussion
Well, why weren't you a part of this class? We would have loved to have had you.
because I was already taking 3 classes.
You missed out. Please.
yeah,
please
definitely.
Tell her
You
she
did.
missed out.
I
It was
will
great.
definitely take it again in the future. I mean, it's definitely useful. Brooklyn and I have been hosting this show all year.
Yeah, I really could have used that class earlier.
I
in the
love
year,
that
too.
question that you asked, though. When was the first time you've been seen? That was a great question.
That was
Great
a really
question.
good question.
Is that Biani over there?
Yeah, that's Vianney. Oh yeah.
All right. So,
Hi.
Miss Tammi Mac,
Hi.
I hear that this is a sort of final exam for your students, or at least a test of some kind.
They already had their final exam, but yeah, it's like a extra credit, I guess.
Like a
I don't know.
bonus
Like a bonus.
type of thing.
Like something to have fun with, and
Practice
I
our
wanted to
skills.
see them.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
and it's good to see you in person too versus online. Even though you made us turn our cameras on and was very active in the class, so that was different. And like I mentioned earlier, she definitely took a different approach. in
So
terms of
y'all
teaching
don't
it.
have to show yourselves in the virtual classes?
Not in all
No,
of them.
it's not
no.
required.
Shut up.
Yeah, so most of the time.
Oh my gosh. So that's why the first day everybody had their bonnets on.
Yeah, it was pretty embarrassing.
You and Professor Lipscomb are the
I did not
two-
know that.
Yes, you and Professor Lipscomb are the two that are very insistent upon having the cameras on. And I actually, having taken Professor Lipscomb's class, I've heard about yours. I've not taken yours. I'm sure it's wonderful. But
What did you hear?
I heard good things from my co-host.
I'm going to tell you like I tell my students. Be specific.
I heard that you're a very engaging professor. Like, you're strict, but it works because the way you're strict is a way of getting through to your students, and it makes them understand your points more.
Oh, okay. That was nice. Okay. I'm down for that. I didn't know that you all don't have to show up virtually, but I do want to say the reason why I do that is because most of the students in the class wanted to be on camera. They expressed that that was their goal, their aspiration. And so for me, I want whatever your aspiration is, that's what I focus in on with you. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not a general kind of thing. I want to know what you want to do, what you love to do, what you're good at, and how can we blend all of that together to make you great and to make you make money? Because, you know, we want to have fun and do what we love, but we want to make money at the end of the day, too. So I mesh all of that together. And if you want you say you want to be on camera, but then I don't see you on camera, then I feel like you're lying. And now you're wasting my time, right? Because you said this was your aspiration, but really it's not. And you got me focusing on you. You got me invested in you, but you're not even invested in yourself. You got a bonnet on. What camera you supposed to be on with a bonnet? Like, I don't know. I don't know how that works in real life. So that's kind of where I stood. It's not the Monique kind of bonnet. Like, I don't like people coming to the airport in a bonnet. It's not that thing. It's something way deeper than that.
Can you go deeper on that?
What'd you say?
Could you go deeper on that? Expand on your thoughts on behind the bonnet. And
I really don't. I don't care if you wear a bonnet or not. Like, I don't care. It's just that there's never going to be a situation when you're interviewing someone on camera that you're going to have a bonnet on, right? And so if that's your goal and your aspiration, then you need to live in that so that whenever that happens, you are prepared and you're ready. And that's really what my course was about. It's literally about getting you ready, but it's also about pulling the greatness out of you. Because sometimes, and I had a couple of students, you guys know, that were fantastic, but they don't see their own greatness. And so I had to pull that out of them. I deal with everybody very individually and specifically. And so when I see that you have all of this talent and that I in my head, I'm visioning you in the space that you say you want to be in, but you're not visioning it. And so I'm trying to pull it out of you so that you can see yourself. So even though it was like a master course about hosting, it was really a master course about getting to know where your greatnesses lie, where your strengths and your weaknesses lie. Would you guys agree with that?
I would agree.
Definitely.
Yeah, and where to apply it, just generally.
Yeah, where to apply it, absolutely. Because you can learn all of this stuff, but if you can't apply it, then what's the use?
Right, there's no point in that.
From an outside perspective, and as Brooklyn's partner on the radio show, I can also see where she has definitely improved since starting that class. She speaks a lot more confidently. I think that your interview questions have also improved a lot.
Oh my God, y'all gonna make me cry.
Yeah, I feel like
And they know y'all, I will bust a tear in a minute.
yeah, the class was very emotional, guys. For those who weren't in the class, it was very emotional. We definitely got deep into our feelings, into our past, into our traumas and things like that. But it was all for a reason to help us push forward and grow as a person. So I'm really grateful for that.
right.
Yeah, because I think at first the students thought I was just trying to get in their business.
Yeah, I was like, what is going on? Why is she asking me this?
This ain't got nothing to do with hosting. This ain't got nothing to do with interviewing. And I kept saying, this is a master class. So this is not 101. This is not hosting 101. It wasn't 101, right? That's
No,
what
it
it
was
was
not.
not.
It was
Well,
not.
I wasn't teaching y'all how to speak or when to speak or what type of questions to ask. I want you. You know what? You know what I loved? Like, can we do this right now?
Yeah.
I loved the dig deeper exercise, where somebody asked one question and then that question evolved into
Yeah,
so much
plethora of questions.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
absolutely.
The pink
The mic.
ballroom.
yes,
Something
and
like that.
The Victorian pink
Yes.
Victorian hat. Yeah.
I was going to ask if you could do a small demonstration actually for our listeners.
Yeah, and I will use the audience for this. Ha 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 ha!
Very
Hey,
exciting.
audience.
Hey,
We'll use the
audience.
audience for this.
Let's get some noise from the audience.
Yes. So let's Biani, they're going to ask you the question.
Okay.
Okay. So here's the exercise, right? You ask one question. She's going to answer that question. But every other question after that has to pertain to that one question. So you can't veer, like you can't say, how do you like the shape of that chair? And then somebody else say, how do you like where you came from? The question still has to deal with the chair. So whatever the question is you start with, and it could be any question, simple or difficult, it doesn't matter. But the next person has to ask a question about that same question, all right? And it's called Go Deeper. That's the name of the exercise. So, and the purpose, I guess, should I share the purpose now or later?
Later.
Later? Yeah. Okay, and I'll share the purpose later. Okay, so who goes first?
Can we get any volunteers?
Everybody's going to ask a question. What's your name? Brooklyn. Brooklyn?
Yeah, that's my big, actually.
Brooklyn. Oh, that's your big sis?
Yeah.
Brooklyn. Okay, so ask Biani any question. Any question.
It was peaceful. Um, it was a lot of playgrounds and college students. There's a lot of parks here.
Can I make a small suggestion? Because the mics are very directional, we can't hear the audience.
She wants you to talk inside the mic.
Well, yes, but my actual suggestion was going to be, could you repeat the question and then answer the question so that our listeners can also hear what you were asked?
Oh, good. Now, what's your name?
Marie.
Marie, you need to come to the class.
Okay.
Yeah, Marie's really
You got spunk, Marie.
Well, thank you.
So the question was, how was it growing up in Greensboro? Growing up in Greensboro was very peaceful. It's different from Atlanta. Atlanta is busy, a lot of noise, and there's something always going on. And then Greensboro is very slow paced, and quiet.
Next question. It has to be about Greensboro.
What is my favorite thing about Greensboro? I like that Greensboro is a college town. I like how in the summertime, it's not as many people downtown. And then during GHO or all the homecomings, everybody from different cities come into Greensboro. And I can feel the difference on how small Greensboro is when people are here during the fall and when they're not here in the summer.
What's your name? No, yeah. Asia. Nice to meet you, Asia. Okay, and what's your name? Miss Shelby, ask her a question. Give her another one.
That's a good question. My favorite season in Greensboro is the fall time because in my neighborhood, there's a bunch of trees, and when you roll down the neighborhood, you'll see the trees changing colors, and some of the trees will be orange, yellow, and red. And driving through, it feels like I'm in Narnia. Like, have you seen the movie Narnia?
Oh, I love Narnia.
Yeah, it feels magical.
And who's back there? You now. Marziah. So what a pretty name, Marziah. Your turn.
That's a good question.
Do I have any tales that tells me that someone's not from Greensboro? If they haven't been to they haven't been to chicken salad.
To where?
Chicken salad.
Chicken salad.
How do you find that out about somebody? Do you ask them, have you ever been to chicken
Well,
salad?
what you eat?
Like, do you like a
Where's your
chicken
favorite
salad?
place to eat?
Chicken salad? That's the name of a restaurant?
Yes.
Oh,
I've never heard of that.
I've never heard of that either.
Oh, we're
guess
going
that
to the
shows
back. I would like for you to ask a question as well. What's your name?
Going back to
The
you
Butterfly
saying-
Arboretum.
I think I've been there. That's so fun.
That what?
The Butterfly
Butterfly.
Arboretum.
Tell us about that.
The Butterfly Arboretum is close to Wendover, and in the park is these really big chimes. And during the springtime, when the wind blows really hard, you'll hear the chimes all throughout the park. And so that's my favorite part.
And who's in the back? You got a question? How are you?
What positive and negative changes have I seen in Greensboro since I've been living here? That's a great question. So negative changes recently, there were a lot of homeless people on the downtown street areas. And one day, like 2 weeks after Trump was elected, all the homeless people no longer were there. And I was like, well, what's going on? I was walking downtown with my friend. We were going to get coffee. And what I noticed was a lot more Greensboro, like public parks and recs, people were walking around in their black jackets, and they were patrolling the area. And so that was something very different and, in my opinion, negative. Something positive, I would say, is Bennett College. Yes.
Bennett College.
Bennett
It's a
College
positive
is a positive for me and being in Greensboro, because it's changed so much in the sense of it's not what it used to be, but it's becoming more. We just opened up a gaming room. We have renovations to the gym, a garden, the wellness pods, and I believe those are little seeds to something new for Bennett later on.
So the purpose of this exercise seems kind of pointless until you think about it. We call it go deeper because the only way that you can get the good stuff from the person that you're interviewing is to know as much about them as you can. Now, you certainly wouldn't ask a person you're interviewing 15 minutes of questions about Greensboro, but what you can do is find that information out, and based off of that information, you can go anywhere with Biani if you were to interview her that anybody else could not go with her. You could ask her, hey, so I hear you like the chimes. Tell us about that. And no one else would know that. Or you could say, you think Bennett College is the most positive thing about Greensboro, North Carolina. Why is that? Nobody else would be able to ask that question. That would be something you knew because of the research that you have done. So it's called go deeper because you don't want to ask those shallow, surfacey questions. You want to ask the questions underneath. What do you like about Greensboro? Right? You want to get more specific. You want to find out that, I mean, we just found out from one question. What was the original question? I can't even remember. What do you like about Greensboro?
Yeah, that was the original question.
That was it? What do you like about Greensboro? We found out that she's got a problem with people kicking out the homeless. How do you get that from what do you like about Greensboro, right? How do you get there? So you already have something. If you know that information about her and you're about to interview her, you can immediately connect emotionally to her if you talk about the homeless. So now, once you've connected emotionally with her, she's yours. You got her. You can ask her anything now. You can ask her when she lost her virginity. You can go anywhere from that point. Once you connect with somebody and you've got them in a space where they feel safe, where they feel like you are on their side and that you care about their answers, then you win the interview. Not by saying, well, what is it you like about Greensboro? It's by saying, why did they get rid of the homeless encampment in Greensboro? I hear you're a proponent of saving the homeless and being a part of the homeless community in terms of helping them. That's much different than what do you like about Greensboro, right? And so that's why we did that exercise called Go Deeper. Brooklyn, you got anything to say about that?
I feel like the thing for me was listening, because when you ask these questions, you really have to listen and pay attention so that you can keep that noted in your mind and ask that question later. And for me, like, listening is a little bit hard sometimes, so I kind of had to lock in.
But you did really good. Like, eventually you got the hang of it.
A little bit?
Yeah, no, I think you grew exponentially. And you were listening. Yeah, you by the end of the class, your listening skills were pretty impeccable because you were recalling a lot of stuff. You were recalling a lot of stuff.
Okay,
Go ahead, be honest.
I was agreeing. Yeah,
Yeah.
you were recalling really good information. I was like, hold on, what's going on? That
Right.
question is on
Yeah.
point.
All right, I'll
Yeah,
take it.
so that's what that class, that's one of the exercises we did because everything was about being specific and how do you get the best interview? How do you get an incredible interview? How do you get a superb, masterful interview? Not how do you say, so you got a girlfriend, Mario? Like, that's whack. You know what I'm saying? Like, who cares? Like, you want to touch him in a way that's deeper than do you have a girlfriend? hey, your mom was on drugs and you tried your best to help her out. I watched your show and it seemed like it had a huge effect on you. And here's the hard part. This was the hard part. This was the hard
What was
part.
the hard part?
When you say, my father was on drugs, so I feel how you're feeling. How did you get through it? Because I'm trying to figure out how I can get through it. So a part of the class was to also find out about yourself. What are your triggers? What are the things that you have inside of you that can connect to another human being? That's what interviews are about. They're about connecting. And today we've moved into this social media world where every interview is about clickbait. Every interview was about, oh yeah, so Nene said that, Portia said that, Phaedra said that she was Bobby Brown lawyer, but she ain't do no good job. Now what you gonna say about that? That's what interviews are now. But if you really are serious and you really love the craft, then you want to do more than just put people on blast and make them look like, I was about to curse, make them look stupid. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? You wouldn't want nobody to make you look stupid. So if you really have a heart and you care about the industry and what you're doing, and then I have to share with the class too, like that's how I interview. I don't interview for clickbait. Do some of my interviews go viral? Of course they do. I'm a fantastic interviewer.
Yeah, I agree.
But for real, they don't go viral because I did a gotcha moment, which is why you don't see me like you see The Breakfast Club or Drink Champs, because I'm not doing gotcha interviews. And so that's what I also had to explain to everybody is I know some people are thinking, yeah, you ain't got to do all that. Because we had somebody in the class who was like, well, I think if you just, I like interviews where it's just spontaneous and, you just go for what you know. And quickly she found out that didn't work.
It's definitely deeper than that. Yeah.
Yeah, it took
Absolutely.
about one day for her to find out that was not the lick. That was not the business. Yeah, you could do it, but
Yeah.
why? Why, if you have Beyonce standing in front of you, why would you want to wing that interview? As opposed
Right, it's
to
Beyonce.
right. Why would you want to wing it? Why? If you got Obama sitting in front of you, you really want to wing it?
You don't.
So the thing is to get into the practice of researching, get into the practice of finding out more about them so you can share more of yourself and you can win the interview by simply connecting with that person. And so the course for me was all about showing students how to connect with people so that you can get the best interview, you can get revealing interviews, you can get honest interviews. And we also found out, Brooklyn, about non-judgmental interviews, right?
Yeah, we definitely did. I
Yeah.
feel like that's a huge aspect is not judging them, and really just listening to them. That way you're creating that safe space for them to open up and you can hear things that nobody else might have gotten and you can be that interviewee who's gotten, great things from somebody.
Yeah, because Brooklyn, we I don't remember which class it was, but it was before the final exam. I showed the class an interview. Actually, that interview happened the day before I showed you all.
With
So it was
Cynthia?
Cynthia Erivo. Y'all know who Cynthia Erivo is? So the day before our final exam, I showed them a interview with me and Cynthia Erivo. But what they were supposed to do was to show me in that interview everything that they had learned throughout the course. Number one, so they can see that I'm not just talk. I do what I say. And I'm not just here to just so you can hear my voice and I can be, be the professor, Dr. Mac. Like, nobody, I ain't nobody got time for that. I wanted to show them that these are techniques that I practice frequently. And I think Brooklyn asked me, what was the question about the LGBTQIA community? Because Cynthia Erivo she's a lesbian, right?
Yeah, and she's playing Jesus Christ in that film.
Yeah.
And I think I was asking, what if you're not like,
Oh yeah, you asked what if you have a problem with gay people? That's what Brooklyn
which I
asked
don't
me.
have a problem with gay people, just
And
to
she
clear
made that
up.
clear too.
Yeah,
She
because
made
I don't
that
want
clear,
people.
too.
I was just saying, like, what if you don't agree with something? How do you approach that?
And then I
So-
said, that's what we did our very first class, right? We did a exercise our very first class called the Judgment Day, which is where nobody in the class knows each other, and you have to judge them just based off of their looks. And so I don't think they understood what that class was about until we got to the end, right? You're like,
Yeah.
oh, snap. Job. That's right.
I felt like everything was like a spiral. Like when we walked into the class, we didn't know what was going on, and the things that we were being asked, we were just so confused.
Those were
But
the best moments. Just I
They
don't know
really
what's going
were.
to happen. I'm gonna just let her lead and be vulnerable. And at the end,
Yeah.
it all made sense.
Yeah, it really did make sense all at the end. But not only do you do interviews, you also act. So I kind of want to jump into that aspect of it and talk about the show that you're in, Star, featuring Keke Palmer on Tubi. How was that? How was that working with Keke Palmer? Because I grew up watching her on Aquila, and, you know.
So it was a Fox television show called Star. Lee Daniels produced it. So it was his kind of like spinoff of Empire, I guess. Huh? I was on Star? I was on Star, yeah. I was on
Yes,
Star.
season 3, episode 12, called Toxic, for those who want to watch.
I was in a few episodes of Star.
For
I
those
played Kiki's auntie, and Kiki and I knew each other before then, because my husband was her road manager, and so he had been working with her for a long time. But that is not how I got the role, because I didn't know that I was playing her aunt. I didn't know that she had got cast in it, and she didn't know that I got cast in it either. We were just kind of excited once we saw that I was playing her aunt. But I did a one-woman show in Atlanta, and so she came to see my one-woman show in Atlanta. So we kind of connected there because some things that happened in my one-woman show, she shared that they had happened in her life as well. And that's what I mean by, when you connect with people, they feel free to talk to you. And so we kind of bonded there. And then we did Star, which was an incredible opportunity as an actress to work for Lee Daniels, and Luke James, I think, was in there, and Quincy,
Jones?
not Quincy Jones, girl. Quincy, Puff Daddy, Al B. Sure's son. What's his name?
I don't know.
Quincy Shure, Al B. Shure. What's his name? Y'all know Quincy?
I don't know Quincy.
It's just Quincy? Oh, it's just Quincy. He doesn't use the last name. Yeah, he was in it. He was pretty dope.
Wasn't Queen Latifah in there too?
She was, but I didn't get to do any episodes with her, so I didn't get to see her. But it was super fun to shoot. What is that fine brother?
Oh, I think I know it.
Oh my God, he's so fine. Chocolate dude.
Yeah, I
you know
know
what I'm
exactly
talking
what you're talking about. I don't
Why
know
can't
the
I think
names,
his
but
name? Lance Gross.
he was
Lance Gross. It was fun
Lance
working with
Gross.
Lance too.
That's his
yeah.
name. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll say that.
So are you gonna watch an episode of Star? Y'all got
Yeah, I am going to watch an episode. I watched a little bit of it in on Tubi, and you guys are going to hear about that too and watch it too as well. But there was a scene where you guys were doing drugs, like heavy drugs.
Mm-hmm.
Were you familiar with that, or was that something completely new?
Everything I've been in, I think I'm cast as a drug addict.
Why is that?
I don't know.
Why do people perceive you as a drug addict? That's so weird.
I don't know. I'm in Partners in Rhyme with MC Light. I play a recovering drug addict. I played in a show, you guys wouldn't know it, but it's called Strong Medicine with Jennifer Lewis. I played a drug addict. It seemed like they're always typecasting me as a drug addict. I guess I play it well. I don't know. My dad's on drugs. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe that's it. I doubt that that's it. Yeah, I don't know why they cast me as a drug addict, but I'm just glad they cast me.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, I'm ready for whatever they bring.
Right.
Ready
But
to
do you
tap
think
into
that,
it.
like, because you said your dad was a drug addict, do you think some of those experiences or memories you've had with him reflect in your day-to-day life?
No, because I never knew he was a drug addict. People told me, so I didn't really know. So, and my dad never. I didn't know. So I never saw him like spazzed or drugged out until, I would say until today, but that's not true either. But he's homeless today. I do know that. So like when I go home to see him, I go under the bridge, blow the horn a couple of times,
Oh,
and he comes out of a box. I know that sounds funny, but it's true. So I know I see you laughing, Asia. You laughing at my daddy coming out the box. Mm-hmm. You gotta laugh to keep from crying.
I mean, I think that in any situation where somebody that close to you has undergone something, like I think we all have a situation where there's a family member that's in a rough patch. We can't really do anything to help them, but it doesn't do any good to cry about it. You just gotta accept the reality that it is and offer what help you can.
Yeah, yeah, and that's what I've been doing. So thank you for that. Absolutely, that's what you got to do. So, but I will say this: I'm not going to talk negative about him without sharing the positive aspect too. The only reason I'm in radio is because my father got me on the radio. So, if it weren't for him, I would not be where I am today. So, yeah.
Yeah, that is a great position to be in.
So we are.
Oh, we have a question.
He knew somebody. Like he went to school. He went to Prairie View A&M, and so he went to school with the lady who was running the radio station at Texas Southern University. So they have a radio station kind of like WNAA, but it's like a jazz radio station, and it's like it's like you can hear it all over Houston, and people love it. And on the weekends, they had a show called Kids Jam, where kids who were like 13, 14 years old could come in and do 1 hour of a show. And so my dad knew about that, and he knew the lady that was the program director, so he walked me straight in and said, my daughter wants a job on the radio. She's trying to be an actress. And the lady kind of laughed, and she was like, can your daughter read? And then my dad laughed and was like, read this for her, boo. And so I read it because I can read. And I had been practicing all my life to read because my grandmother used to, when we went on road trips, she would pay us for every billboard that we read. So, and my grandmother was an avid reader. So she read books, which made me read books. And so, yeah, when that lady asked me to read, she didn't ask me for nothing I didn't know how to do. And then she said, okay, she's on. I thought I was going to be getting paid. I didn't know you didn't get paid at the college radio station.
You wanted to get
I
paid.
was calculating my Jordans I was going to buy and stuff. I had the real one Jordans. Y'all wasn't around. See, y'all got the fake one Jordans. Them not the OGs. I had the ones when they was really one. They wasn't 1A, 1B, 1C. They was number one. Wasn't none before them. So, yeah, I thought I was going to give me some Jordans, child, but they wouldn't give me no money.
We got another question from Rosiah.
Okay, that's a complicated question. You need to be in the master class. You gotta be, because that was a masterful question that I don't even understand. Let me see. No is the answer, because you should never go into an interview with the intentions of something. You have to let it be what it's going to be, because that's where you find the gold. If you go in thinking, oh, I want Oprah to tell me her and Gail gay, right? If you go in with that thought and then all your questions are leading to her saying that, right, then your interview is going to bomb flat. And I just use that extreme example because it's extreme. Yeah, you can't go into interviews with an intention. You have to go in just allowing a person to tell their story. And so you're just really guiding them through their own story, really. And if something happens that you get to tell your story and share that with them to open them up more, then so be it. Let it happen. Because a lot of times you'll hold yourself back, but you should let it happen. And Oprah is good for that. That's what she does in every interview. Every time you hear Oprah, I hear her talk about her more than the person she's interviewing. She'd be like, oh, yes, yes. Oh, yes, 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 yes. You know, don't you find that... I mean, that's her thing. She does that all the time.
So you've worked with Oprah?
No, I never worked with Oprah.
Oh, I thought that's what you're meaning.
No, I never worked with
fine.
Oprah. But I studied Oprah because, you know, Oprah was out. Oprah had a show. See, y'all don't know when Oprah had her show. like
The Oprah Winfrey
the
Show?
Oprah Winfrey Show, right?
Yeah.
That show was the show of all shows, and the reason why Oprah became as popular as she was because there was an episode where a woman was talking about being molested. And Oprah started to cry and then shared that she had been molested too. And after that episode, Oprah Winfrey became the queen of all media after that. And she began to share more and more about her personal life through her interviews. And you got, like, you could see it now. So she was the kicker offer of people telling their business in interviews.
Yeah, she really
Oprah did that.
changed
That's when she bent
changed
the,
the game.
rules.
Yeah.
That's what you talked about in your class, bending the rules.
Bending
And
the rules.
traditionally, like when you're interviewing, you're supposed to like focus on the person and not include your story.
Mm-hmm.
How do you bend the rules in your practice of interviewing?
Oh, that's a great question too, Biani. Oh, yeah, I'm proud of you. That's a good one.
Thank you.
How do I bend the rules? I don't know. I don't know how I bend the rules. That's a really good question.
I would like to add, I think from my perspective, you definitely ask the questions that some people are afraid to ask. And I feel like that's really sets you in a position to get those answers.
Right. And then to add on to that, I think bending the rules comes with knowing yourself, going deep and understanding what are your shadows, what are your traumas, like what do you need to release in order to interview somebody without judgment. And that's when those nuances of being able to comfortably bend the rules and know that you're in the right place.
Yeah.
I guess I agree with what you both said, and I think I bend the rules too by not trying to placate to the audience so that I can become popular or famous. I think today that's kind of bending the rules because today everybody is using social media to become popular and to become, not saying I don't want that.
Yeah.
I'm just not down for doing that at somebody else's expense, if that makes sense. So I think the way I bend the rules today is because I have integrity. And I think in today's age, that's kind of bending the rules because don't nobody care about integrity today.
Yeah, that's very real.
Yeah, but we had another hard exercise, right, called the boardroom.
The boardroom.
Yeah.
That was a
Wow.
really hard exercise for all of the students, and I think that part they inspired me with my Cynthia Erivo interview. The class inspired me to ask Cynthia boardroom questions. So I think you can continue to learn and grow every day from everything. I do believe that.
Yeah, you can. And for those who don't know what that is, basically in the class, she asked us the questions. What does your childlike self need to hear right now? What does your present self need to hear right now? And what does your future self
And
need
your
to hear?
gifted
And your
self.
teenage self as well. Yeah, so really just, it set me back, man. I was like, wow. I was going through it, but I also had some great times too. So I was able to talk about both of that too and relate to others in the class.
Yes.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't an average class. in
Where did you
terms of
come up with
media.
that question?
Social media.
Really?
Yeah, that was a social media question. I told y'all that. I wasn't going to take credit for something I ain't do. I said, I got this one off Twitter, y'all.
Not Twitter. We need that account.
I said, but I think it's good and it pertains to the class very well. So we're going to try this together. And I liked it a lot.
And I would
Yeah.
like more classes. Like
It was
wanna
hard. That was a
know.
hard one. That was hard for
Really?
me. Yeah, that was hard for me. And y'all had me in their class crying. I didn't like that.
You were crying? I didn't see that. Oh, wow. Was this your first time teaching?
Yeah. I told y'all that was my first. Well, you must have been absent that day, Brooklyn.
Maybe in the mind, maybe mentally. But yeah, it was a great class.
Yeah, y'all had me crying in that class. I'm not doing that with y'all no more.
No, let's do it again.
Yeah, I'm ready for part 2.
See, I was about to say that's a shame because I would really like to take one of your classes. I would.
Yeah. So you went to Bennett. You graduated from
graduated from Bennett. Yes, I did.
Bennett. Yes, absolutely.
Woo!
So how was that transition from being a student to being a professor? Was it crazy?
Yeah, it was, because in my head, I think I'm still y'all age.
I think so too.
In my head, but so it was hard for me to see you all as students. So I was trying my best to hold back on things that may have been inappropriate to say and do, because it was hard for me to put myself above you. And I kept feeling like I needed to be here. And I think my gut felt like I needed to be equal with you all so that I could reach you. But that's not the position that I'm in. And I told Dr. Walsh that this course made me grow in a whole lot of ways, because I think some of my closest friends tell me all the time that I don't live in my power. And I think that class gave me an example of that, because it was so hard for me to do this, and I wanted so badly to be here. But I'm a professor, and here is where I'm supposed to be, so that I can bring you all up. If I'm here and you here, then what's the point? Why y'all here? You know what I'm saying? Like, if we both here, what's the point? There's no growth in this. The growth is in someone here and this happening. That's where the growth is. But it's not just the growth for you all. It's also the growth for me, because once you get here, now I've got to go somewhere else. And so I think that was the hard part. And that was the transition of me not wanting to be the student and becoming the teacher. That was very difficult for me.
Now, what was easy to you? What was fun?
Talking. I said to myself before the class started, okay, this is a interactive class. Tammy, shut up. Don't talk. But that didn't happen. I forced y'all to talk more than me, but a lot of days I feel like I did a little too much. But sometimes when I'm passionate and I feel somebody getting somewhere, I did that a lot with you, Biani. A lot of times I felt you going somewhere, and I felt it was important to get it out, so I kept talking to try to get it out of you. And it happened with a couple of other people in the class too. And I'm very passionate. I hope y'all saw my passion.
No, she's passionate. She
Yeah.
would start screaming on the Zoom.
She was okay. That's so funny. I love that.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think that was the easiest part, talking about my experiences and talking about the lessons that I've learned and being able to share that with you all. Because to be honest, I didn't know I knew as much as I knew. I was like, wait a minute, where'd that come from? So, yeah.
If I may cut in,
Cut
we
in.
have about 5 minutes left
Okay.
of time on the air. So I am going to invite our two students here to each ask you one more question, and then I'm going to invite you to share with everyone here everything you've been working on, so that we know where to follow you, we know where to find you, and we know how to find your work.
I love it.
So who wants to go
Oh,
first?
Great way to anchor the show. I'm noticing. I'm checking
She's
you out.
really good.
She is.
Thank you.
She's really good. Yeah. Okay. Do you have a question, Biani?
Yes. So now that you've expanded to fully embodying being a teacher, knowing what it's like to be in that position and being up here, how has it expanded your life? How has it played out in how you're hosting and carrying on throughout your day?
Well, I found out that there are more people to care about than just myself or my career. And I found out that there is good in helping other people to obtain their aspirations and goals, versus only fighting for my own personal aspirations. I think I've always thought that if I didn't focus solely on me, that I wouldn't be at a level of success that I wanted to be at. And I think the course taught me as a professor that you can also share what you know, and it's okay to to get people to the place to where you are. And I think for so long, I just thought that, to be honest, I thought that people y'all age didn't care. I felt like y'all didn't care. I felt like this generation is kind of like, oh, whatever, I'm just be social media. You ain't got to do all that. And I discovered that that was not true, because out of the 13 students in the class, or 12, I think, I got 9 really, really fantastic students. And I don't think that the 9 fantastic ones should suffer at the hands of the 3 that don't show up. And so I feel really good about knowing that there are people of this generation that literally care about the craft and care about integrity and I don't know, and just being in a position of, I guess, wanting to know more. And I didn't feel like that's where y'all were. I didn't know what to expect when I came into the class.
Yeah, neither did I, but I definitely did take away a new passion and really something to hone in on, because before I joined that class, I was like what you would call the generation that doesn't care. But I feel like I just didn't know what did I like, what I didn't like. I knew exactly what I didn't like, and that was pretty much everything. But I found out what I did like, and so just taking away from that class, you know, I can pursue that and go into that area. And, you know, just speaking on your life, how you were doing hosting, you're acting, you're doing all these things, but I want to know, what are you going to do next?
I don't know, but Brooklyn, let me say this. I wrote you a letter, didn't I?
Yes.
Okay. I wrote you a letter, and I believe everything in that letter I said. I just want to share with you your growth. The stories that you shared about yourself were extremely private, extremely personal. And I feel like through this class, and you could correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like through this class, after sharing those stories, you gained a whole new perspective about yourself.
Yes.
I feel like what I felt like about you was that you kind of felt like you were kind of dumb, kind of stupid when it came to like common sense or the world. But I feel like at the end of the class, you grew a whole new kind of respect for yourself in terms of things that you've been through. I feel like you stopped judging yourself for the stuff that you did in the past. Is that true or false, or am I making that up?
That's true. I'm definitely still working on it, but that's true. I want to start crying.
All right, so we are coming to the end of our time here. Unfortunately, I think we've made a lot of great energy. This isn't the studio. I was about to say here in the studio. So here in the GLC today, in the auditorium, that's where we
did
are.
I write you a letter? Okay. I just want to make sure you got it.
Yeah.
So now that our listeners know where we are, I'm sure they'd love to know where you are and what you're doing and how they can catch up with you.
Okay. My publicist helped me. I'm trying to figure out what I'm doing. I have a new podcast. Please watch my podcast, y'all. Please watch my podcast.
It's on Spotify?
Yeah. Okay. But it's video, so it's on YouTube. And the YouTube is Happy with Tammi Mac. And y'all got me busy this weekend, so I ain't uploaded no new episodes. But I'm about to tell y'all, the episodes are fire, okay? So let me tell y'all who's on the podcast. Tiffany Haddish talks about going to jail. What? Tabitha Brown talks about thinking she was going to die. It's too many to name. Lunel. Judge Mathis talks about how they didn't let him pass. He passed the bar and they wouldn't let him get his law license. That's crazy. Like, they turned him down 3 times, even though he passed the bar. That's crazy. It's so many people. Y'all gonna love everybody on there. I got 3 people from All American. Do y'all watch All American?
Yeah.
I got 3 people from All American. I got Preach from All American. I got, who played the mama? I got her from All American. Yeah, they're just good. They're fantastic interviews. I got Mr. Omar from Everybody Hates Chris.
Hates Chris. That's my show. I love that.
Y'all, oh my God, y'all are gonna die when you see his episode. You're just going to die. Please DM me and be like, Tammi Mac, you was right. I died. I died. I'm serious. DM me when you watch his episode, and then just hit me in the DM and say, Tammi Mac, I died. I'm back now, but I died. Because you will die when you see his episode. Everybody, we did a premiere, everybody died. And then they came back to life. And they was like, I can't believe you said that in that interview. And it's going to be deep. He is not Mr. Omar in this interview. Y'all are not going to recognize him at all by the things that he says. It's going to be crazy.
So
Yeah.
speaking of DM you, where can we DM you? What are your ats?
At the Tammi Mac Show and at Happy with Tammi Mac. So Happy with Tammi Mac is my project that I'm working on now. So I would just love for you all to please, please, please watch and subscribe. Like, share, subscribe to Happy with Tammi Mac.
Yes.
And after graduation, I'm going to upload my next episode, which I think is going to be Tiffany Haddish. I think Tiffany Haddish is our next episode. But we've got 22 episodes, so they're going to keep coming.
Yes. All right, stay tuned, y'all. Thank you all so much for joining
Thank
and
y'all for being
listening.
here.
And thank you,
Yes.
Tammi Mac, for showing up for the Bennett Bells today. Thank you all.
And thank you to all of our viewers right here on SiriusXM channel 142 HBCU. This was an episode of Bel Air Radio, and we're very excited for you to join us for the summer season and the upcoming fall season of next year. Bye-bye now.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Bye.